Let's talk to Mark Lehane now, though, Executive Head Teacher at Wootton Academy Trust, because this week this was the big unveiling, wasn't it, by Keir Starmer, and let's have a look at him doing it, of the new breakfast clubs that the government think are going to solve the school's truancy problem.
I think these breakfast clubs are fantastic. I'm a big fan of them. For children, it's really good for their development because they're an environment, before school, they're mixing with other kids. Yes, it's sort of breakfast club. There's bits of learning and socialisation and skills which are really important, and you can see that happening.
So you've experienced that with your kids?
Yeah. And we put our kids in, and it was a great thing to do. I'm very worried at the evidence of disparity in sort of ability to learn when children get into the first year of primary or reception. Massive disparities, probably more than they've ever been. So breakfast clubs help to close that gap a little bit earlier.
They've also caused, of course, taxpayers to be spending yet more money because apparently, according to the Labour government, this is going to save taxpayers £460 a year. Not quite sure how they work that one out, because if you already feed your children before they go to school, how is giving them a free meal going to change that? Mark, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
So, two-thirds of primary school head teachers say Labour's free breakfast clubs will have no impact on attendance. And presumably you're going to be giving free breakfast to people who don't necessarily need them.
Well, I mean, listen, when my kids were younger, we made use of the breakfast club that their primary school ran. We had to pay for that. And I think a lot of your listeners will be wondering why the government are proposing a universal offer that everyone can have for free, regardless of whether they can afford to pay or not. Because personally, I think well-paid people like me, like teachers and other professionals, we're more than capable of paying for our own children to go to a breakfast club. And therefore, the money that's being spent on it to subsidise it for middle-class people like me could probably be better spent in other areas in education. And on top of that, something else that I know is concerning primary colleagues of mine is that the amount of money that the government are putting into this is very, very modest, and it's only 60p per child per day.
Right.
And so lots of primary schools are having to find money from other bits of their budget to subsidise these breakfast clubs. And right now it's just a pilot phase. It's only schools volunteering to run them to see how it goes.
Right.
But once the bill that's going through Parliament is passed, it will be a legal obligation for every primary school in the land to run a breakfast club, and potentially schools are going to have to find a lot more money to make that happen.
And this is at a time when schools are under quite a bit more pressure, presumably, budget-wise, because of the rising cost of electricity, for one thing, because of the rising national insurance and all that, and just the general sort of everyday rises of prices for everything that you buy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, money is tight in the public sector, but money's tight for everybody. So those of us that work in the public sector have to cut our cloth according to our means. So we've got to make the money go as far as we can. It's just little things like this on top soon add up. So it might be a few £1,000s here, a few £1,000s there. But if you're a small primary school, maybe a small rural primary school, where you won't have huge numbers of kids on roll already, this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Listen, there are very good intentions behind this. Some people think that running a breakfast club will be great for young children's development. Other people think it will help to raise attendance, which we know is really, really important. My concern is it's one of these things where we're going for a blanket approach, because actually most schools where there's been demand for this have been doing something like it for a long time already.
Yeah, quite. And so, again, it's nice, and I'm sure it comes from good intentions and all of that, but, there are you can't do everything. The Labour government seems to think that they could just keep borrowing. We just had figures saying they borrowed another sort of £16 billion or more in the past month, and it's unsustainable. And they can't just keep coming up with schemes which give money away when they haven't got enough money to do the things that they're supposed to be doing before.
And of course, as soon as the government rolls out a new entitlement, it's very hard to take it back further down the line if they need to find savings elsewhere. Before I did my current job, I was lucky enough to work in government as a special advisor for a few years, and we know how hard it is, and I know this firsthand from working in government. Once you give people something for free, it's very hard to take it away if you need to put that money into something else. But on top of that, there's the practical things there. Again, imagine you're a primary school, you might only have 1 or 2 spaces big enough to run a breakfast club. That's probably your school hall. So you've got to run a breakfast club before school and then quickly turn things around before the school day proper starts and get that space ready for a PE lesson or an assembly or so on. So lots of the practicalities here are really difficult for schools, which is why I worry about making it compulsory, making it legal that every school has to do it.
That is the problem, isn't it? Mark, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. Mark Lehane, Executive Head Teacher at Wootton Academy Trust. There's another bad idea from Starmer and his goons, isn't it?